And seated here is the god Osiris, the eternally good being, with his judge's whip, he was after all the judge of the afterlife, and his king's scepter. He is the archetypal, strong but benevolent male ruler. Standing next to him is Nature, the goddess and magician Isis, his beloved and devoted wife and sister. And she is the all-nurturing, life-restoring protector of love and beauty. Now you can see why Mozart would be impressed by all this. Here is Osiris representing reason and Isis representing nature. Reason and nature, the two cornerstones of Enlightenment thinking.
But for Mozart and the Rosicrucians, nature and reason were not enough on their own. Tamino and Pamina must pass through the third and final doorway, that of wisdom.
And here we're at the centre of Mozart's personal beliefs. The secret of man's relationship with nature is that all its beauty and all its ugliness are within us too. They're an inescapable part of our makeup, good and bad. As Rousseau and Mozart would have it, we are above all natural men and women, but our nature must be tempered by reason. Like Osiris and Isis, nature and reason aren't opposites, they're partners. And this is what the third great attribute, wisdom, teaches us.
Amazingly, all this complex philosophy was being expressed not in a lengthy academic tome or a university lecture, but in a music hall romp that almost anybody could enjoy on whatever level they fancied. This kind of all things to all people mental Olympics is what makes Mozart's work so very, very impressive, and the best tunes on the planet.
The first night of the Magic Flute was on the 30th of September 1791. In a little over 2 months after that premiere, its composer would be dead. Mozart died at 1 in the morning on the 5th of December 1791 after a hideously painful 2-week illness. He wasn't killed by Salieri or a hooded phantom, nor even by his own Requiem, but by the banal incompetence of his doctor, who, despite the patient's kidney failure, bled him of several precious pints of blood. This triggered the brain hemorrhage and bronchopneumonia that ended his life. He died in the arms of his inconsolable wife, Constanza, who had to be dragged away from his body.
Mozart was given a private service at St. Stephen's Cathedral in Vienna. With supreme irony, his Requiem was, after all, first performed for Mozart himself. Mozart's body was taken away to St. Mark's Cemetery, then outside the city of Vienna itself. He was not given a pauper's burial. The lack of mourners at the graveside, about which so much has been made, was just the way things were. It simply wasn't the custom in those days to have a service at the grave. Mozart's funeral arrangements were exactly the same as for anyone else who died in Vienna who wasn't a member of the aristocracy. No more, no less. At the Masonic funeral oration given in Mozart's honour, he was 3 times associated with Adoniram, the resurrected master builder of the ancient world. His fellow Masons were in no doubt that Mozart was some kind of conduit between man and the spiritual world. When he died, Mozart, far from being forgotten, as the myth would have it, was the most famous and talked about young composer in Europe. The Magic Flute was playing to packed houses, and Don Giovanni had just been revived with spectacular success in Prague. Mozart went out at the very top. In an age of bewildering change and conflict, Mozart's music cut across the noise and bigotry, calling for tolerance and reconciliation. This was a truly enlightened message from 1791, and a message for the future. This music still speaks to us now, not simply because of its beauty, but because of a universal message contained within every bar of it. Mozart believed in humanity. There's not a shred of cynicism or disillusionment in anything he ever wrote. When he heard of the death of the friend he'd so admired, Haydn was reported to have said, "The world won't see such a talent again for 100 years." He may as well have said 1,000.